Good evening, everyone. A clean break between the two at the top of state leadership tonight as New York Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado says he is not going to be on Governor Hochul's re-election ticket in 2026 and that all options, he says, are on the table.
His statement bringing a fiery response from the governor's communications director, and tonight we're getting reaction from lawmakers too. Here's more.
Quote, today, Antonio Delgado finally said out loud what has been obvious for quite some time. He's simply not interested in doing the job of the lieutenant governor of the state of New York. Governor Kathy Hochul's team firing back after Antonio Delgado declares his independence from her ticket, something Assembly Democrat John McDonald says he's seen coming the last 6 months to a year, and that there's been a clear divide between Hochul and Delgado, and now that it's a deeper one, he says it's sad.
What do you think of the governor's response?
Well, I think it made it pretty clear that the governor has pretty much had it with the lieutenant governor. And she's got a job to do to run the state. And quite frankly, she's going to make sure that whatever responsibilities need to be picked up are going to be picked up.
The governor's team saying she's already taking steps to identify a new running mate for 2026 and that some of the lieutenant governor's responsibilities will be reallocated. It overlapped Delgado's when Delgado was a congressman in New York's 19th. Teague says they've had a respectful relationship, and this is his reaction to today's news.
I don't blame him. I wouldn't run with her either, and I'm surprised anybody would run with her. She's a disaster. She could be the end to anybody's political career.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about a fascinating story out of New York involving Governor Kathy Hochul, who seems to be a dictator at this point, right? She's acting as a dictator because she recently moved to strip New York City Mayor Eric Adams of some of his abilities as the mayor of New York City to deal with the illegal immigration crisis due to the fact that New York City is a sanctuary city. And because Eric Adams is willing to work with the Trump administration, she went out of her way to make sure that it would be much harder for him to do so as governor. Now, she didn't go as far as to remove Eric Adams as mayor, even though she was thinking about doing it, but she did go out of her way to limit his power. And she's doing that again, okay, for somebody who is now her political opponent, right? That seems to be the theme here, okay? In New York, Democrats who have power and control will abuse their office in order to go after even Democrats who don't agree with them, right? As she has moved to strip the lieutenant governor, Antonio Delgado, of his powers and of his office space because he hinted at running against her in next year's election for governor, right? So he hasn't officially declared, he just hinted at it. And Kathy Hochul was like, nah, you're gone. You're done, right? I'm going to basically fire you without really firing you, right? This is what she's doing, like a dictator. And what I found to be fascinating about this story is not just the fact that Kathy Hochul, again, appears to be a dictator, and that she is weaponizing her authority as governor to basically punish her political opponents. But the lack of outrage from the left, from Democrats, especially the race hustlers, is what I find to be really, really, really fascinating about the story, especially considering the recent fake outrage over black people being fired by the Trump administration. But for whatever reason, they're silent on this. They don't have much to say about Kathy Hochul bringing this black man down right here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Governor Hochul is moving to strip her lieutenant governor, Antonio Delgado, of much of the power of his office after he hints at a primary challenge to her next year. Political reporter Marcia Kramer has more.
It was all happiness and light when Kathy Hochul first introduced her new lieutenant governor, then Congressman Antonio Delgado, who at one time played semi-pro basketball in Puerto Rico.
I look forward to getting a few pointers to play some hoops together.
Now Hochul wants him out of her sight. She banished him from his office on the same floor as hers in the Capitol in Albany, took away his offices in New York City and the Hudson Valley, confiscated his state-issued electronic devices, and is reassigning much of his staff, all because he hinted at challenging her for re-election. In recent days, he's made no bones about the fact that he and Hochul don't see eye to eye. This is what he said during an interview recently with CBS 6 in Albany.
For me, it's very, very important for New Yorkers to know that I am their voice, that I want to be their voice, and that is the only thing that I am beholden to, is the people.
Delgado has broken with Hochul on a number of key policy issues. He called for President Biden to step aside while Hochul was supporting him. He called for Mayor Adams to resign as Hochul was taking steps to keep him in office. Pundits say this is the latest attempt at toughness on the part of the governor, a steeliness she exhibited in dealing with President Trump and his decisions to kill congestion pricing and to cut aid programs that New Yorkers hold dear.
I think this is her way of saying, look, this is my fiefdom, I'm in charge, you were my pick. You know, you were my lieutenant governor. I made you.
Yeah, but he still was voted into office, right? He still was voted into office, okay? Now, one of the reasons why he was the pick, okay, from Kathy Hochul, he was the candidate, is because her prior candidate that she had chosen had to resign due to being arrested for federal corruption and campaign finance violations. But look at who was in support of the last guy that Kathy Hochul wanted to be lieutenant governor. Just watch.
Governor Kathy Hochul makes it official, naming Harlem State Senator Brian Benjamin to succeed her as lieutenant governor.
The choice establishes an upstate-downstate partnership. CBS 2's political reporter Marcia Kramer here now with more on all of this today. Marcia.
Maurice and Christine, it's no secret that when Kathy Hochul was Andrew Cuomo's lieutenant governor, the two were not close. So she went to great lengths to say that the man she picked as her number two, her running mate next year, will be a true partner. They hugged, they smiled, they waved, they held up their arms in victory to usher in a new era in New York State politics. Out with Andrew Cuomo, who barely noticed his then Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, in with Governor Hochul, who wants her Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin to be a true partner.
The word partner means something to me. Someone who works side by side in the trenches.
When I asked Governor Hochul exactly what job she would assign to Benjamin, she reeled off a laundry list, including having him continue her work invigorating local economies.
I'll be very involved in that, because this is passion for me, but he will be out there at the face of that initiative. Also, we share a passion for dealing with the criminal justice systems, tenant protection. When I said I'm not satisfied with the status of NYCHA, those are not just hollow words.
Benjamin, a Harvard-trained Harlem State senator, said he took the job because he has spent a lot of time with Hochul.
I was able to see inside her heart, and I knew the kind of person she was before she had power. And you could tell a lot about someone before they have that ultimate power. A kind woman, a person of integrity, a person who believes that constituent services matter.
The announcement was not only a celebration for the Harlem community, Brian Benjamin will be the second African American to hold the post, but also a celebration of Hochul's deep relationship with local leaders. The Reverend Al Sharpton said she called him after Andrew Cuomo resigned in the face of charges he sexually harassed 11 women.
She called me and said, Reverend, the first thing I did was drop to my knees and ask God for guidance and ask God for strength. That's the kind of governor we need, someone that looks beyond themselves.
Yeah, so where's old race hustling Al Sharpton, right? Where is he at? Because he was there when she picked her first lieutenant governor, who had to resign due to corruption charges, right? Is anybody surprised? An Al Sharpton backed lieutenant governor of New York is corrupt, right? Like, come on, right? Like, nobody should be surprised by that. But again, the question is, where are the race hustlers? Why are they not upset about this white woman stripping a black man of his power, right? Even though he was elected by the people. Where is the outrage? Where's the outrage?
All right, Marcia, no offices, no electronic devices, no staff. I mean, will he just resign in the face of all of this?
3 words, not a chance. Look, he sent me a statement saying he is deeply, deeply committed to being the voice of people in New York and representing people in New York State. Remember, she can't force him out. He was elected by the people.
Yes.
So he can continue to collect, get this, his $220,000 salary until the end of the term. And there's nothing she can do. By the way, it makes him the highest paid lieutenant governor in the entire country.
Okay, so this is just another...
He does have one office, though. He has one office next to the Senate because he still presides over the Senate.
Okay, so let's talk about this possible run for governor. What are the chances of him actually entering the race?
I totally believe he's going to run.
Oh.
But the thing about it is he's going to have to get in line because there's a lot of people who want to challenge Kathy Hochul, including Bronx Congressman Richie Torres, who is very popular, has a base in New York City, which is very important in the statewide election. So, stay tuned, but I think there may be even more people that want to challenge her. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah. So again, she didn't strip this man of power because, I don't know, he's corrupt, which I don't know. Maybe he is. Okay. He's a Democrat. So it's likely that he is corrupt. Okay. But she didn't strip him of power for legitimate reasons. She stripped him of power out of pure pettiness, right? I mean, she basically fired the dude without actually really firing him because she can't really fire him. So she basically fired him without firing him. But who knows? She probably picked the dude in the first place because he was black, right? Because we know that she doesn't really think that highly of black people, as she believes that black kids growing up in the Bronx don't even know what a computer is.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world to open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
Now, again, what I find to be fascinating about this is how all of the race hustlers are dead silent on this, right? They don't have anything to say about this, despite the fact that race hustlers like Rashard Ritchie, for example, they were boohoo whining and crying about President Trump firing a black general. Take a look.
General fired to be replaced by someone completely unqualified, and the biggest loving it, especially given the fact that it's Black History Month. Put him up full mask. Trump fires chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and 2 other military officers. Trump fired Air Force General C.Q. Brown Jr. as chairman of the Joint Chiefs on Friday, sidelining a history-making fighter pilot and respected officer as part of his campaign, led by who? Pete Hegseth, to rid the military of officials who support diversity and equity. C.Q. Brown served in the role for 16 months. He was only the second black general to ever be in that position. Hegseth had previously taken aim at Brown. Quote, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, he said flatly in the podcast in November. And in one of his books, he questioned whether Brown got the job because he was black. Quote, was it because of his skin color or his skill? We'll never know. But I always doubt, which in its face seems unfair to CQ. But since he has made the race car one of the biggest calling cards, it doesn't really matter much, Hegseth wrote. Now, we know for sure Hegseth got the job because of the color of his skin. There is absolutely no question about that.
So you're a bigot. You're a bigot. If you agree with a black general being fired for being too woke, right? For trying to implement racial quotas in the military, okay? Who think that there are too many white officers, so therefore they need to be fired and replaced by other folks, right? I mean, yeah, I think the bigot is actually the people who support race-based quotas, but who knows, right? But my point is this. Could you guys imagine if the shoe was on the other foot, right? If a white Republican governor stripped a black lieutenant governor of power simply because the black lieutenant governor decided that, hey, they're going to challenge the Republican white governor for the governorship. Could you imagine the outrage from the left? Could you imagine how these people would boohoo, whining, and cry? Actually, we don't have to imagine. We already know. We already know because we've seen these people boohoo, whine, and cry over black people being fired since Trump took office. So, again, I just find it fascinating how when Hochul is acting like a dictator here, okay, she's out here stripping people of power left and right over political disagreements, by the way, right, over politics. I find it fascinating how the people that scream fascism and dictatorship have nothing to say about that whatsoever. I find it fascinating how the people who always boohoo, whine, and cry about black people being fired and black people always getting the bad end of the stick and always being blamed and all this stuff, why is it they don't have anything to say about this? Again, where's Al Sharpton? Where is Al Sharpton? This man is black, right? Al Sharpton is supposed to be defending this guy, but he's nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Again, I just find it very, very, very interesting. I find it very interesting, okay? Because everybody knows that, again, if the roles were different here, okay? If this was a white Republican that did this to a black lieutenant governor, oh my goodness, these people would be losing their minds, right? They would be losing their minds. But because it's Kathy Hochul, because it's a Democrat, oh, nope. Well, we're gonna turn the other way. We're not gonna say anything about it. We're not gonna call out the clear corruption here. The fact that, again, this woman is running New York like a dictator, okay? She's afraid that her lieutenant governor is going to run against her. So she says, you know what? I'm going to make it harder for you to do your job, right? I'm going to strip you of power simply for challenging her. Doesn't sound very democratic to me. I'm just saying, doesn't sound like somebody who really, embraces democracy, right? Or that respects the will of the people, because the people voted this guy into office. And Kathy Hochul says, screw that. I don't care, right? I'm going to limit his power. Sounds about right for the Democrat Party. These are the same people that staged the coup against Joe Biden, right? But again, they want to get mad and upset about Trump firing a black general that President Trump appointed in the first place, right? This guy was appointed. Trump fires a guy that he appointed. Oh, racism, right? Hating bigotry, right? Trump hates blacks. Kathy Hochul is out here stripping power from black men left to right. Silence. They ain't got nothing to say about it, right? Ain't got nothing to say about it whatsoever. Again, it's fascinating stuff. It really is. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.